Hey everyone, Rushlock here, and as always, if you want the latest news and updates for EVE Online, hit the subscribe button down below, and if our guides and videos help you with anything with EVE Online, consider hitting the super thanks button down below as well. So here we have the FanFest Day 2 wrap-up post. Let's get into it here. News-hungry capsuleers. All right, so they're aware that people want to know what there is to look forward to. Day 2 of FanFest 2022 has been incredible. It was packed with amazing presentations, roundtables, developer interviews, and updates, which means there's a whole lot more news to share today, following all that was announced yesterday. Here you'll find a roundup of key news, updates, and announcements from Day 2 of FanFest, most of which takes a deeper dive into what was revealed at the previous day's keynote, which you can watch in full here. You can also catch up on lots of FanFest content over at CCP TV. So they're already aware that people are looking for the news and the updates, and the content has been the big cry from the community so far. That's what they have for us. Lots more on Factional Warfare. FanFest Day 2 provided a chance to learn a little more about Factional Warfare. This will involve the iterating on and improving content and systems, such as structured mechanics, territorial control, ship and fleet balance, activities, faction warfare complexes, and amazing new, quote-unquote, battlefield sites. The goal with these improvements is to create meaningful dynamic geography in New Eden, reward player loyalty to their chosen faction, make players' choices have greater impact in the factional warfare context, create lots of new content for pilots of all kinds, and encourage more of you to become part of shaping the player-driven stories the new factional warfare system is designed to create. As you can see, there's a lot going on. That's why, as we work on this, we're putting lots of care and consideration into making sure all the new factional warfare elements work together as a cohesive whole that balances effort, risk, and reward. We're also putting player interaction first, meaning the new factional warfare framework is designed to bring players together in ways that see different playstyles and approaches combined to deliver truly memorable and distinct experiences. We'll also be introducing a new system for creating allegiance and loyalty to bring the best out of the factional warfare. You'll be able to declare allegiance to a faction, all without needing to leave your corporation. This system is separate but connected to standings. You'll also see that NPC factions will set their own goals, adding to the dynamic, ever-changing experience factional warfare will soon offer. Players allied with those NPC factions will be rewarded for helping them achieve those goals, and success or failure will never be predetermined. Ultimately, the new factional warfare system will let you share in your organization's successes by joining in with more of their endeavors. You'll be rewarded for your loyalty too. So get ready to ally with your empire of choice, perhaps even with a pirate faction. So they might bring pirate factions into factional warfare as well, which is pretty interesting. So the whole soon offer. If this means the expansion that's at least 6 months away, no dice. If they have this new faction warfare in-game for us to have hands-on within 90 days of FanFest, then I'm on board. Dynamic frontlines. 180 total star systems form the setting of current factional warfare, with each being entirely equal in terms of gameplay. Now it's time to mix that up. Factional warfare star systems, which border an enemy-controlled system, will become clearly marked on the in-game map, making it easier to identify and get to the real action. There you will find better rewards, faster turnover than you've seen in other systems, and more unique added content. Meanwhile, the existence of uncapturable high-sec systems will ensure that there is always a frontline, even if the war zone is dominated by one side. Set your factional warfare goals. Each faction will have its own agenda and be able to declare objectives to see them achieved. The nature of these objectives will be introduced through narrative elements, while we make sure the victory conditions will be explicitly clear. Players who assist their allied faction in achieving its stated objectives will be generously rewarded. That's going to be very interesting to measure later. Typically, when they put a new piece of content in the game, the rewards are either non-existent or very low. And to some extent, that makes sense because you want to scale rewards up over time till it's balanced. You don't want to like come out of the gate with rewards being too high and have to take them away. But CCP has had a multitude of systems come out with no to little reward systems, and then people just ignore the content. And by adding new gameplay experiences via factional warfare, we can service a wider range of interest and types of pilots. That means bringing more people and more life into the war zone, which in turn will be supported by new goals, new activities, and new content. The work here is ongoing, and we are carefully examining and exploring how new factional warfare objectives could include activities such as war zone logistics, battlefield salvaging, hacking, espionage, and more. That does sound really exciting. Like, I like the idea that I could take my exploration character and somehow do scanning and hacking, and it matter for factional warfare, because I'm out in space, I'm in low sec, I can get ganked. Things like that could be pretty interesting. Rebalancing structures. A lot of changes are coming to structures with a focus on motivating more attacks and interaction. Future adjustments will ensure the era of new instant replacement of destroyed flex structures comes to an end. We'll also be working to offer more open tactical windows before defenders can replace them. Capital ship retether time will also be adjusted to more appropriately scale with their larger HP. Again, with a view to improving interactions with structures. We're also putting a lot of care into improving gameplay and counterplay around Ansbelek's gates, and we will continue to replace POS functionality in terms of forward operating bases with limited capacity and services. Next, we have narrative-driven design and narrative arcs. New narrative arcs are being introduced to EVE. Each arc will tell a cohesive story in which you play an important role in helping decide the outcome. Each arc features a steady stream of narrative-driven events and content that ultimately leads you to a climactic moment that reveals a significant change to New Eden. To deliver the absolute best arcs possible, we've been taking a new approach of narrative-driven design. It's a method shaped to deliver more moments where you take part in a story unfolding on a grand scale that leaves permanent marks on New Eden. That means your decisions, actions, and allegiances help determine the outcome. Many new features will be introduced through narrative arcs too, with some focused on bringing you a more meaningful sense of belonging to your faction. In other words, arcs do more to make you an important part of the future of New Eden. So what this makes me think of is the Triglavian story, where people got very confused thinking that they could prevent the Triglavians entirely. So to kind of take a look under the hood here and give people a more clear vision, Triglavians were always going to take 27 systems and form their region Pachvan. That was always going to happen. And some people think, well, that's terrible. That means it was predetermined. No, what it means is that players' agency, player choice, determined what systems were used to create that region. And for some reason, some people have an unrealistic expectation that, no, we should have been able to defend every single system and prevent Triglavians from ever happening and waste all that dev and creation time from CCP. It's a completely ridiculous and ludicrous and unreasonable expectation to have. And I suspect going forward in these narrative arcs, when they talk about having player agency determine outcomes, we're going to see something similar, where we start and where we finish is pretty predetermined, but the in-between part is what's going to be player decided. Now, there is, from reading this, more possibility and more potential that the end destination could actually be impacted between option A and option B by the players. That seems like an entirely viable choose-your-own-adventure forked outcome, assuming that each individual outcome isn't going to use different developed assets and tools and functionality. Expansions are making their return. We're reintroducing expansions to EVE. Going forward, expansions will become the major content releases in EVE. They will contain big content moments presented as immersive arcs, new features, significant tech evolutions, art and audio enhancements, and much more. However, a key difference here with the new era of expansions is that you can still expect a steady stream of releases, seasonal events, challenges, story progression moments, and balance changes in between. You can expect the first in this new era for expansions coming in fourth quarter of this year. Guys, end of the year. That's 6 months away. We're in May right now? Yeah, we're looking at 6 months. Maybe 5 if you want to be optimistic, but likely 6. More on Heraldry and Interbus credits. The coming Heraldry system lets you show off your achievements by displaying logos, visual changes to your ships, holograms that reflect your social standings, kill marks, structure skins, and other customizations. You'll be able to purchase those items with Interbus credits, which are earned by doing activities in-game. Those activities could be as simple as a daily challenge or event, or something more complicated. In almost every case, the activities will be focused on the social and interacting with fellow pilots. I read that as they are going to try and intentionally make it something you can't solo, which means people will just use multiple accounts, but we'll see how it plays out. I like the idea and the intention, at least, like trying to get people to play the game, not just play the game, but play it together. To go along with this, there's a new unified fitting window coming that will combine heraldry and modules. We're also aiming to establish strong, healthy corporations, giving their members plenty of activities and goals. while providing more tools for corporations to recruit, train, and retain new pilots as they grow their member base. We'll also be helping corporation leaders streamline their corp's activities by making interbus credits taxable, though they won't be tradable. We'll also be giving corporations the tools to automate those arduous bookkeeping tasks with 2 optional taxes: LP tax on earned LP and value tax on goods sold goods on the market. In addition to the new Spreadsheets in Space tool mentioned in yesterday's keynote that exports data directly from Eve into Microsoft Excel. This is all to help strengthen corporations in New Eden. Made by players for players. A new program will soon be introduced allowing you to manufacture or purchase items, making them available for other players to purchase. Players who participate will be rewarded with Heraldry, which unlocks many cosmetic items that help you establish your individual and alliance identity in New Eden. This is all aimed to lean into Eve's player-driven economy and provide more avenues to participate in the economy and be rewarded. So this is, I think, a response to the Retriever Pack controversy, and there was discussion that they might work on a system where players create items that go into this black hole and then are one-to-one represented on the cash shop and then made available for purchase by players, new users. On paper, it sounds solid. But what's the reward system? Cosmetics. Is that going to address the players like, okay, if we're making good items and in-game items that are being sold for real money, getting hopefully exclusive cosmetics might scratch that itch, but will those exclusive rewards be tradable, transferable, sellable in-game? If they aren't, this is going to go right down the drain very quickly. Expecting your player base to sweatshop your items for your cash shop for bound on accounts, cosmetic rewards is not going to float. Also, the other issue becomes bookkeeping. Do users have confidence that CCP is going to track one-to-one transactions about PlayerMade Goods that, hey guys, we're out of stock on selling some retrievers, we're going to have to take them off the cash shop now? Or will the, I presume, more likely scenario be they'll take in, let's say, X number of retrievers for the retriever packs, and only Y are selling, and Y is less than X. I assume that will be the case because I can't imagine them wanting to turn on or off either faucet or either valve system for incoming goods from players as a sink, and then outgoing items in the cash shop. But we'll see how it turns out. Exploration of other quality of life improvements. Improvements to several other aspects of EVE are also being explored, including balanced changes to many different ship classes, including Navy ships, adjustments to station jump clone cooldown, improving the readability of maps, and applying a clearer focus on reducing ganking to make PvP gameplay in HiSec more equitable and fun for all players. There was a slide in the presentations during FanFest that broke down the definition between ganking and griefing. And to CCP, they were stating that griefing to them is ganking, a new player that's in a obvious new player ship, and then they, disengage from the game is the usual outcome. And that ganking is blapping veteran players in more bling type ships and just basically capitalizing on them making mistakes and doing silly things. Day 2 in closing. All these new updates and features are focused on making EVE even more of a living online universe that unites the players that shape it, with New Eden existing as a vibrant, dynamic metropolis that is influenced by factional warfare and narrative arcs. We're bringing more content, more experience, and more ways to play. And we want our amazing and diverse spread of pilots to all get more from every moment they put into EVE. There have been so many great presentations and discussions all day, and we hope you get the chance to catch up on all the fun on CCP TV. Otherwise, we'll be sure to see you at GT44, either at the top of the world or in New Eden. Fly safe. So that's the end of the presentation. FanFest Day 1 and 2. FanFest is effectively over. There have been no new announcements of content coming out into the game in the near future. All of it is at least 5 or 6 months away. Now, they didn't say nothing would come out in the next 3 months. So some of these factional warfare changes might see deployment before then. I'm very cautious in wanting to assume or expect that. So basically, we're on watch. What is this? This is the beginning of of May, I believe. June, July, so August, first week of August would be the litmus test for me. Do we see new content in New Eden? Or did FanFest just say, hey, trust us and wait till later? You guys will have your own opinions. Please post them in the comments down below. I'm interested to see what you guys think of FanFest. If you are encouraged, like, hey, I can wait. I've already waited a couple years of scarcity balance changes that were very much needed. I can wait one more year for actual content to hit tranquility. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. As always, hit like, comment if able, and we'll see you next time.